So good to see everybody.
Yes.
What did you guys do for Marcus's birthday, Sarah?
What did we do? We went for a bike ride and checked the bird boxes and made a yummy cake and did TLs and gifts.
Nice.
And we all got showered and cleaned that day.
Very classy.
At 100% now that you've totally recovered?
I would say that Marcus is not 100% yet, unfortunately.
Who's this?
These are our Sun River Wilson. He keeps on, especially if he doesn't get a good night's sleep, he gets this like wheezy cough that keeps coming back. And it's not productive. The cough is not productive. It's just like inflammation in his lungs. So, but a couple days ago, he had a day with no coughing, and then he had a rough night, and then it came back. So it seems like it's just taking a while, but I'd say that we're definitely mostly better. So that's good.
It's been a month, right?
Yeah, it's been more than a month.
How
And
long
I
is
think,
that?
like, for me, I'd say that the symptoms I have really could be allergies at this point. I just wish I could get tested to know.
Yeah.
But Marcus, it's a little, for Marcus, there's something that's not quite right. But he's definitely so much better than he was. So that's good. Yeah.
What have you heard anything about the availability of serology testing in Palo Alto?
So, yeah, I was actually going to call the Stanford Hospital tomorrow just to talk about it, because I know they've been doing. I know that there's the plan. There is a plan afoot to have a ton of testing in the Bay Area, with sort of some big philanthropic funding behind it.
Right.
But I don't think that's happened yet. But I think that they do have finger prick tests available at Stanford now, and I had called the Palo Alto Medical Foundation to see if they would like some of our blood.
Right.
And they didn't seem to quite know what to do with that offer.
Interesting.
So, but another friend just told me that there's actually a woman in Marcus's department who might be able to link us up with somebody who, at Stanford Hospital. So maybe I'll try that tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be great to get a test, and it'd be great to be able to be helpful if we can. So we'll see. Yeah. Hi, Margaret.
Hi,
Is
love
Marcus
you.
teaching, Sarah?
What's that?
Is Marcus teaching?
Yes, he is. He's teaching. But in the spring, he teaches his food class for, just for joy.
Oh, okay.
So our house has been a filming studio.
That's kind of amazing that he just you get to have all his cooking.
Oh yeah, it's true. That is really fun. We've been eating really delicious meals, and it was great. Like Peter played his double bass and laid down some Nina Simone track to be the opening and closing of his videos, and they've been doing experiments together. So that's been really fun.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah.
Jen, have you come up with good strategies for keeping your students engaged when you have to do this remotely?
Well, I've been working with my colleagues, and I post every Monday at 8, like 3 different tasks, and they can do them when they want and get them done by Saturday at midnight. I always do a video of myself where I'm explaining all the things that they're supposed to be doing that week, but we're not allowed in my district to have like online live, like Zooms or Google meetings. We're not allowed to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Because of security concerns?
Because of equity concerns.
Okay.
And because of security concerns, but mostly because of they feel like they can't know when a kid is not engaging, if they're not engaging because they are not able to, or if because they are not motivated to, and they don't want to make it worse than it is. So, but then we just had a meeting with the principal, and the Oregon Department of Education has said that basically all kids are going to pass. It's not a pass incomplete, it's a pass.
Yeah.
So I don't know I'm pretty sure that
Good work.
Students do not know that because they're still doing the work, but I think some of them do know it, and so they're not doing the work.
I could have
Our
used that
district
a year or
hasn't said
two.
that explicitly yet, but I think they're just about to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I had to pass 7th grade without getting
You were not in danger of failing 7th grade no matter what.
Our district
Don't
just
worry about you, Milo.
our district just sent out an email saying that students can receive a letter grade, but letter grades will only be A, B, or C. There will be no D's or F's, or they can opt to have a pass instead, a keeper pass. So
Yeah.
they just sent that to all the families this past week.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Every district obviously has to like figure out their whole brand new this.
Hi, Adam.
Betsy, what's your week
Hi.
like right
Yeah, I was going to ask Betsy some questions next. Looking at
So I am working from home, except for every week so I work in the Nordic, Baltic, Arctic office.
now?
So people in my area cover the Nordics and the Baltics and Arctic security issues. So in that office space, we have to have one person there for a week at a time to cover classified material that comes in. But other than that, everybody is working from home.
So
So-
are you on that rotation then that you have to be there?
Yeah, so not last week, but the week before, I was there for a week, and it was weird. It felt like a not a haunted house. It felt like a ghost town. But I played Pandora very loud, and it was not bad. And the funniest thing was one of our higher ups, who's over all of Europe, was doing a phone call with an official from one of our countries. And so his second in command has been like, everything you can do to stay far away, do it. And he calls and he's like, I'd like you to come up to my office, take notes on this phone call. I couldn't pick up the phone.
I thought you were going to say
I
you
didn't know
complained
anything.
about the radio.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Is the work, I mean, can you do the same kinds of work that you were doing before?
Well, I mean, a lot of our work is helping with meetings between State Department officials and people
Okay.
from the other governments.
Okay.
So those are still happening.
Right.
It's just usually phone calls instead. So a lot of my work has been preparing paper for those issues
Gotcha.
with our government.
Mhm.
Hey, Annie, tell us about your new car. I'm just looking at the picture.
Yeah, it's a Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's that they have a 0% financing for 84 months deal, so it's hard to pass up.
It seemed
That
like
looks
people
like
are
a
probably
perfect
offering
Sunriver
some good
car.
deals.
What?
That looks like a perfect Sun River car.
Yeah, should be.
Is it in the place of your little sporty car?
Well, I still have my little sporty car for now, but
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
We had, remind Rachel what we had before.
Well, we had one for Sun River before, but yeah. So yes, so I have a new car as of 2 hours ago.
That's exciting.
Congratulations. Woo!
Can I say it? We're greasing the wheels of the economy.
Nice. That's okay.
Very good.
Don't laugh. That's the 101st time he said that. I'm trying to get him to stop.
I also say it when we buy cheeseburger and fries.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Sister Bernadette, how are you doing?
Great. I'm here in this has been my virtual office in the past couple of days. But you can see it's actually our rec room.
Nice.
There were a bunch of baseball players in this house before we got here. So they left the foosball table and the the ping pong and the air hockey because they were too hard to get out. So
Nice.
but we take advantage sometimes.
I was going to say, but you can take advantage then. It
I was
looks like a weird filter on you, though.
it's probably just because I'm in front of a window.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But if I lower the window, I don't know if you can see me. But I was here yesterday for 6 hours because I was supposed to give a class in person, but obviously it wasn't in person. So.
Eric Hawkins. I see you, Gigi.
So
There's Lisa.
Bernadette, the nuns get to do some?
Baseball?
Yeah. Do you guys play ping pong?
We do sometimes. Yeah.
Do you cheat?
Do we what?
Cheat?
Cheat? No, usually we don't count points. We just try and get rallies going. Sometimes we do. But actually, today at 4:30, we're going to play Ultimate Frisbee, the four of us too.
Oh, nice.
You might have a March Madness bracket on your wall with all the progressions to your tournament.
That'd be fun.
Fresh air.
The Taylors look like they have a super camera going there.
I
Yes,
think they have it up on their TV.
wide angle. It's a wide angle camera to fit everybody in.
Well, and really clear.
Yeah, we use the laptop and just project it to our TV.
Oh, nice.
We're looking over there, but you're down there. So.
Like Happy Feet.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, those are happy feet.
Yeah, we see everybody pretty well, so it's nice. Happy
So you have college students home?
Yeah, Bradley is here somewhere. We have Greg. Greg is here playing chess right next to us.
Hey.
He looks like a giant.
He's our BFG. And there's Sadie is over here. I don't know if you can see.
I can see a hand.
I can see the hand, yeah.
Hi, Sadie.
And does everybody know?
This is Nick.
Hi.
Yeah, introduce Nick. This is Tessa's new husband.
Savannah, you
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
can
And here comes Savannah. This is Greg's.
Another
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Savannah.
So there you go.
Nice.
Nice.
And Callie is going to BYU, and she's right here. Wait, there you go. She's wearing her special new blue.
Nice.
There you are. There, Mom.
Well, if we're a full group, I'm happy to get started anytime.
I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, great. I'm going to try and do a screen share here.
Oh, great.
I'll start actually by telling Sarah, when you made your comment about a big event was getting showered the other day, it reminded me of a comedy bit I saw about a guy going to the dentist.
Oh.
And the dentist asked him, what's the last time he flossed? And he goes, I don't know. Actually, I think the last time I did it, maybe you did it for me. That's kind of how I'm feeling on the last time I showered. I'm not feeling that way. All right.
You look good, Dave.
I just made the security settings so you can share your screen.
Okay, so are you seeing this band chart?
Oh, wow,
with pictures
cool.
on it? Okay. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. So I was asked to do this, come up with a family history story to share. So I started out by going to, starting with my mom's generation kind of band chart. So my one fail was I meant to find a picture of Margaret and Connie and the siblings here, which I didn't do. But
there aren't any.
Yeah. So last time in Sun River, the story was this guy, James Brigham Wilson, that we talked about in Midway, Utah. Anyway, I thought this was really fun to put together some of the pictures that kind of go back to that generation. So
My sister's name.
grandmother and grandfather, and this is grandmother Wilson's parents, David J. Wilson and Mary Jacobs.
So it's Wilson on both sides.
His parents, James Brigham Wilson and Margaret Powell. Mary Jacobs' parents, Henry Cheriton Jacobs and Emma Rigby. I see some, I don't know about you guys, but it seems to me like I see some some traits passing through the generations on some of these photos, it seems like. I'm not going to point any out. Guy C. Wilson and Agnes Melissa, that's granddad's parents. Guy C's parents, like Hergus Wilson and Lois Ann Stevens. And Agnes's parents, David Alma Stevens and Soraya Agnes Johnson. So anyway, I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
Then if I remember the order right, we're gonna come back to some of this, but I'm gonna jump right into a neat story that I hope is of interest to kind of all ages here. And I'm just gonna read part of it, which comes from, here. Okay, so there's this book called The Mayflower, and there's a story of one of our ancestors that this children's book is based on. And so I'm just going to read these paragraphs here out loud. So in the fall of 1620, this is on the Mayflower ship. The Mayflower's ability to steady herself in a gale produced a most deceptive tranquility for a young indentured servant named John Howland. As the Mayflower lay whole, Howland apparently grew restless down below. He saw no reason why he could not venture out of the fetid depths of the 'tween decks for just a moment. After more than a month as a passenger ship, the Mayflower was not longer a sweet ship, and Howland wanted some air. So he climbed a ladder to one of the hatches and stepped onto the deck. Howland was from the inland town of Fenstanton, Huntingdonshire, and he quickly discovered that the deck of a tempest-tossed ship was no place for a landsman. Even if the ship had found her own still point, the gale continued to rage with astonishing violence around her. The shriek of the wind through the rope rigging was terrifying, as was the sight of all those towering spume-flecked waves. The Mayflower lurched suddenly to leeward. Howland staggered to the ship's rail and tumbled into the sea. That should have been the end of him. But dangling over the side and trailing behind the ship was the topsail halyard, the rope used to raise and lower the upper sail. Howland was in his mid-20s and strong, and when his hand found the halyard, he gripped the rope with such feral desperation that even though he was pulled down more than 10 feet below the ocean's surface, he never let go. Several sailors took up the halyard and hauled Howland back in, finally snagging him with a boat hook and dragging him up onto the deck.
Wow.
Wow.
Pretty cool story. So,
Yeah.
So my mom and Heidi, I have to give full credit here. They helped, I think they both read this book recently and they identified this story and sent it my way. I found this, this children's story about it. It looks, I don't have this book, but you can get it like at Target and Amazon. It's a pretty easy book to get if people are interested. It seems from the little write-up of it, it's a bit apocryphal. It talks about this being in the voice of the boy, and he's a teenager, and he comes, whereas actually he was in his 20s when he made the trip. So, so I'd say still pretty cool. It might be a fun book to get for kids if you want, but just FYI, there's a bit of poetic license.
Philip the Mayflower.
Okay, so we're going to work our way back to John Howland. So this is from Margaret and Connie's generation, who are on the line here. This is through Grandmother Wilson. So Marion Wilson to Mary Jacobs, to Henry Cheriton, her father, Jacobs to his mom, Zina Diantha Huntington, to her father, William Huntington, to his mother, Prescindia. So we're going to keep going. So I've got an overlay of some pictures here.
Oh.
Oh, look at Mom.
Yeah.
So mom, for me, mom, dad, mom. And then we're going to pick up with him and we're going to keep going back this trail. So this is William Huntington. So William Huntington, and then we go mom, dad, John Lathrop, mom. This I just put in here just to kind of snapshot where we are in history now. So by this time, this is born 1697.
Wow.
In Massachusetts Bay, British colonial America, and died there. So by this time, and actually really by this fellow, all the way back, we're kind of born and raised and died in kind of classic New England country. So back to Anne Thatcher, to her mom, and then that's John Howland. And John and Elizabeth, we'll talk about both of them. That was kind of John's famous story. This is a portrait of John Howland. This is a plaque that's put up. I couldn't get the exact address or building this is on, but it looks like this is from some parish building in New England. And it says, in memory of John and Joan Tilley of this parish, married 20 September 1596, and their daughter Elizabeth, baptized 30 August 1607, wife of John Howland, all pilgrims to America on the Mayflower in 1620. So John and Joan were the parents of Elizabeth. John's brother Edward was also on the Mayflower. All of them, as did many of the Mayflower passengers, died their first winter after arriving in America. We'll talk a little bit about those specifics here too. But so here we go. So we'll get more into their story.
It goes on my paternal grandfather's grandmother's side. Yeah.
Oh, so I confirmed that I found another source at 1599, but that's not. 1592 does seem to be a correct date. Let's see. I'm getting tired of my voice. Do we have a good volunteer reader?
Connie.
That sounds good. Mom, are you up for reading this little John Howland box and the next one?
Or is it too small?
Absolutely, if I can just get it close enough.
You sound good, so I can hear you well from where you're talking. This, by the way, is a picture of Bradford's transcription of the Mayflower Compact, and we'll find that John Howland was a signer of the Mayflower Compact.
Oh, wow.
All the men on board had to sign that.
Unless they were too sick. There were some that were too sick.
Right.
Yeah, great. So Mom, why don't you read this? And then Mom and Heidi, if you have any more color to add, you can do so on this one. And then we're going to go to a next one, which talks about Elizabeth. Yeah.
Okay, so you want me to read?
Read this box and this box. John Howland was born.
Okay. John Howland was born in Finstanton, Huntingdonshire, England, around 1592. William Bradford, who was the governor of Plymouth Colony for many years, wrote in of Plymouth Plantation that Howland was a manservant of John Carver. Carver was the deacon of the Separatists Church, while the group resided in Leiden, Netherlands. At the time the Leiden congregation left the Netherlands on the Speedwell, Carver was in England securing investments, gathering other potential passengers, and chartering the Mayflower for the journey to North America. John Howland may have accompanied Carver's household from Leiden when the Speedwell left Delfshaven for Southampton, England in July of 1620. Ansel Ames in Mayflower and her log said that Howland was probably kin of Carver's and that he was more likely a steward or a secretary than a servant. The Separatists planned to travel to the New World on the Speedwell and the Mayflower. The Speedwell proved to be unseaworthy, and thus most of the passengers crowded onto the Mayflower. All right, you want to do this one?
Sure. The Mayflower departed Plymouth, England on September 6, 1620. The small 100-foot ship had 102 passengers and a crew of about 30 to 40 in extremely cramped conditions. By the second month out, the ship was being buffeted by strong westerly gales, causing the ship's timbers to be badly shaken, with caulking failing to keep out seawater, and with passengers, even in their berths, lying wet and ill. This, combined with a lack of proper rations and unsanitary conditions for several months, attributed to what would be fatal for many. On the way, there were 2 deaths, a crew member and a passenger, but the worst was yet to come. After arriving at their destination in the space of several months, almost half the passengers perished in the cold, harsh New England winter. On November 9th, 1620, the crew and passengers spotted land, which was the Cape Cod Hook, now called Provincetown Harbor. After they struggled for several days to get south to their planned destination of the colony of Virginia, strong winter seas forced them to return to the harbor at Cape Cod Hook, where they anchored. On November 11th, 1620, the Mayflower Compact was signed. John Howland was the 13th of the 41 principal men to sign.
Oh.
We'll come back to this one in one second, but yeah, so here we go.
There he is.
So here's the John Howland signature.
Well,
And this is a copy of his signature taken from some other document. This was as good as, it's just hard to find anything that's legible, at least online, that I could find. Here are the 41 signatures. Daguerre Priest was also one of the ancestors of the Wilson family.
Yeah.
And he I'm pretty sure died that first winter, and then his family came separately, not on the Mayflower, and that's who we come from, or his kids who came basically after him. If anybody knows that history better than me, you can chime in and correct me. But so there's John Tilley, who would be Elizabeth's father, and Edward was his brother. And John also had his wife with him. And when we go back to Elizabeth's story, we'll see that Edward and John and his wife, as well as John Carver, who we learned about, all died within a year or so of landing. And John is probably ends up inheriting some of the lands from the person that he was a servant to, I'll come back to that here in a second as well. So let's see. I'm gonna see if I can go back. Yeah. So here's a list.
Dave. When you go back, if you go back to that previous screen, number 1 on the list, John Carver. That was the one that John Howland was the servant to, who he inherited land.
Yes, that's right. And John Carver, so John Carver, through that story we read about the Speedwell, and the Speedwell ended up not being seaworthy. And I assume, Mom or Heidi, who you just read this, I'm kind of presuming, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume that might be part of the reason why the Mayflower was so crowded, was there were a lot of people that were supposed to be on 2 ships, and they ended up getting on 1. But anyway, John Carver, and they presume that John Howland was probably with him when they went and got like the Virginia contract to go to where they were supposed to go, to the Virginia colony, but because of that inclement weather, they ended up having to land where they did, at Plymouth. Let's see, it says John Carver was traveling with his wife, Catherine, and 5 servants. John Carver, yeah, he's the first signature on here, not surprisingly. These are from other quotes from this book that Heidi shared. John Carver gets elected as the first governor. It talks about Howland going out and bringing Carver along with John and Edward Tilley and some others on a scouting expedition. And then it says in April 1621, so this was, what was the landing? November 9th, 1620? So this is about 6 months later. While laboring in the fields on an unusually hot day, Governor Carver began to complain about a pain in his head. He returned to his house to lie down and quickly lapsed into a coma. A few days later, he was dead. And it talks about a burial and John Howland being left without a master. In addition to becoming a free man, Howland may have inherited at least a portion of Carver's estate. The humble servant who had been pulled from the watery abyss a few short months ago was on his way to becoming, and then I cut off the text, but one of the prominent citizens here is what it talks about. I found a will and testament of John Howland that was kind of interesting, and he did amass quite a bit of land. He left quite a bit of land to his various children, and then to a number of his other. He lived till he was about 80 years old. He died when he was 80. He outlived almost everybody who was on the Mayflower, except for maybe 2 or 3. And so he kind of left his estate and his lands, and then he has a long list of people to whom he left 20 shillings. I'm not sure how much 20 shillings means, but that was his will. Okay, so this is Elizabeth. So Elizabeth Tilley, born in Henlow, England, 1607. She and her parents, passengers on the Mayflower. John Tilley and his wife Joan both died the first winter, as did his brother Edward Tilley and wife Anne. This left Elizabeth an orphan, and so she was taken in by the Carver family. Then the Carvers die. Part of their estate was inherited by their servant John Howland, and Elizabeth becomes John Howland's ward. And in 1623, she marries John Howland. If you look here, marriage, she's 15 years old when she gets married to John Howland in 1623. And then this birth of child is their first child. She's 18 when she has, I don't know if this is Desire or Desiree. But that's the line that we come from. So this there is their first daughter, and that's on our line that we just kind of traced back. And she also lived till she was, I think, 80 years old, which was outliving her husband by about 15 years.
Wow.
So let's see. Oh yeah, so here we are. So he lives till the age of 80, having outlives most of the other Mayflower passengers. Oh, good. So this is, I was historically accurate on this. This is always nice to see. She died in 1687 in Swansea, Massachusetts, which today is East Providence, Rhode Island. Interesting to see how the yardage kind of matches up here too. So now we're there. This is a picture of a home built by, I don't know how you say this, Jabez Howland. That's one of their sons. Built in 1667, John and Elizabeth, his parents, would winter with Jabez's family here. And then Elizabeth moved in with him permanently, with her son there permanently after John passed away. This is a portrait of John. This was kind of funny. So John and Elizabeth founded one of the 3 largest Mayflower progenies, and their descendants have been associated largely with both the Boston Brahmins and Harvard's intellectual aristocracy of the 19th and 20th centuries. Humphrey Bogart, Anthony Perkins, and Alec Baldwin are some of our distant cousins. We'll have to figure out how that can
Really?
Yeah. So that's all I have. So then I just ended on this picture. But so if anybody has any questions or comments or knowledge beyond what I just shared, I think we should open up the mics here and chime in. But Heidi,
Connie, is that you?
You guys for
That's my dad.
It is.
That's you. You were chubby.
Yes, I was.
over here.
Better here. Yes.
Yeah.
I ate all my pablum.
Yes, you did. Adorable.
Yeah, that was my hero until he fed me a worm.
Worm in his hand.
I don't know what he's holding in his hand.
I love that picture of Dad with the bag.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Oh yeah, I've seen that before actually.
I don't think I've seen that. And those hats.
Those hats I've seen before. That fuzzy hat of grandmother's is amazing.
Yes.
With people, it was successful.
There was a person in Eugene who was married to, what was the position that would have been in charge of some of the university presidents? I can't remember.
Mom.
Anyway, that person was married to a woman who must have, I don't know how she felt about mom, but she would make a special call to mom, and she would tell her either people were wearing hats or they were not wearing hats, and it was always the wrong answer.
That was mean.
Yeah,
She was jealous.
Then was she intentionally trying to make sure that grandmother was not appropriately dressed?
Yes.
With sabotage?
On to it by and by.
Or that she'd get the attention.
Okay,
Does
so I'm gonna-
anybody, does anybody know where the color photo was taken?
No.
Air taxi.
Some airport.
Phelps Arrow.
Arrow, yeah.
That looks like that's interesting. Maybe that was on one of their South American trips.
Oh.
Great.
Phelps doesn't look very South American. The
No.
H would be an F.
Or maybe at
England?
Rose Bowl.
Can anyone do an independent search on Phelps Arrow?
Yeah.
Who are can someone say all the people in the photo on the,
This one?
yeah, large group?
Yeah,
I can get probably Mom and Margaret started at least.
Far left in the back,
Yeah.
I think that's grandfather.
It is.
That's grandfather. Then it's Blanche.
Who's
Right.
Blanche?
Blanche is married to Jay. And Jay
Is this Jay?
Yeah, that's Jay. Then
Okay, so
Mom
that's
is
David J,
married
but you call
Blanche.
him Jay.
Right.
Okay.
And Mom comes after Blanche, then is grandmother, and then is Jay.
Who's the baby? Yeah.
And we'll find out who's the baby. And this is Keith down sitting.
Oh, wow.
Then that's Connie. Then that's Marianne.
Oh.
Then that's Daddy holding John. Then that's Met. That's Elaine. And that's Mary. And Mary and Elaine are children of Jay and Blanche. So this baby's probably Joan, who comes after Mary and Elaine.
That's your dad?
Yeah.
So Phelps Arrow is Minneapolis.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
Oh, interesting.
Connie must be there.
Connie is there and Marianne is there. Connie is after
Oh, yeah,
us.
those are Minnesota coats.
They don't have Margaret.
Mom was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Really gorgeous.
Hey, Aunt Connie. In that picture of the whole huge family, does that mean that David is not born yet?
Yeah.
Yes, that means
Right.
Okay.
There are no photos of David nor myself.
Accurate.
Spoken like the youngest.
There are definitely some.
I'm also, Connie, fascinated by what's going on top of your head.
Yes. What is that?
In that baby picture.
Her hair.
The necklace is great too.
You've got a little mohawk.
Yeah, that's Mom would put her finger there, and she would. I have no natural curl that I've ever known about, but Mom would put her finger on top of my head, and then she would comb that little thing around her finger, and then take her finger out.
It's very funny.
That's what I'd be left with.
It's like a
My
baby
face,
pompadour.
I'm like, I like my
Really?
That is a towhead. Yeah. Nobody else was. He has the blonde, and nobody else does. Well, I guess.
I think Matt looks kind of like Daddy in that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Until I see my dad there.
Yeah. Definitely.
Both look alike right there with their eyebrows.
Dave, can you send us this presentation?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'll reply. I'll send it to you, Amy.
That's great. And you can, yeah, you can reply to the list.
Okay, great.
Share it with everybody. That's
Those
fine.
are great pictures.
Goodness.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dave. That was really
Wonderful. I loved that.
Yeah, it was a great job.
I didn't know that we were related to so many Mayflower people. I
thought it was only Gregory Priest.
Yeah,
I had no
did
idea.
too.
Quite a lot. They were related to a surprising number of people. I think they were all like family, friends, and relations.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, I know that I'm related to 16. That's just directly. But I think a couple of them are from the Benyon side, but I think most of them are on the Wilson side.
Who's that? Ducky?
So Marion, I was looking into that, and so the ones that are really best documented are John Howland, Elizabeth Tilley's parents, and then Gregory Priest on the Wilson side. Those five. There is an additional one on the Wilson side, but it's a little bit of a tenuous connection. So it was a set of parents, and they brought their son Samuel, and some records say Samuel was their only son, and then other people claim no, there was an older son named Matthew who stayed behind in England and came later, and we are supposedly descended from that Matthew. So but some people claim there wasn't a Matthew who was part of that family. So it's one of those things where, you know, it's so long ago that sometimes there's not the documentation to
Corroborate it.
yeah, to corroborate it completely.
What about?
Hey, David.
Thanks for the research.
Ken, were you going to ask a question?
Yeah, sorry. I thought Marion was talking. So, David, could you also send us as a separate PDF a copy of the two different fan things that you did? The one that had I don't know how many generations, and then the second. No,
They look like quilts.
I know.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So you want kind of single PDF,
Or
just
maybe
a one pager?
was that were those like Google Slides or a PowerPoint or something?
I just have it all on a PDF, so I can just send the whole thing as a PDF.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. You guys have the old PDF I did, right, of the Wilson family?
Yeah,
I love that, George. Our kids just have used that in school projects a bunch of times.
Okay, cool. If anyone's missing that, I can resend it.
Great.
That big family tree that George made. He did.
So now we need to, who's gonna go and get that children's book?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's it called?
The Mayflower?
No, the other one.
The boy who fell off the Mayflower or something like that?
Let's see. Yeah, the boy who fell off the Mayflower. Yeah.
And is there any connection between the person who wrote that book and the family?
I don't know. The author is the same. He's an author and artist, P.J. Lynch, who did the art and the story. And it's The Boy Who Fell Off the Mayflower or John Howland's Good Fortune. I don't know if he's personally connected or not. I assume there's a good chance he probably is.
Yeah. When was it published? Is it recent?
I'd have to look that up. Okay. I know it's still easy to get. Let's see.
Yeah, let's do it.
Did anyone look up the airport thing?
Yeah, someone did. It's Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota. I knew that because I did all those pictures. There's the old.
I'm going to mention
On my
the
YouTube channel is the movie I did for grandmother's 90th birthday.
as the reason who they were and why they, and how interesting it was that they would go originally to Virginia, which was not a separatist colony.
What did you ask about the 90th birthday?
Oh, I was just saying, if anyone is interested, on my YouTube channel, under the Wilson videos, there is grandmother's 90th birthday video. And in that, I have a lot of pictures, a lot of the old pictures, along with labels with the names. So if you ever want to track all the names and pictures.
Yeah, because there are a lot of really cool old pictures that you had on that.
Was the 90th birthday the hat party, the tea party, or was that a different one?
Well, it was just on her 90th birthday. I made the video, and I just, that was when it was christened. So, but it's been on my YouTube channel.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I'm a subscriber to your YouTube channel.
Yeah, anyone's welcome
I got
to it.
all of the wedding videos.
If you wanna find my channel, it's called Geo Taylor 10. Geo Taylor 10.
It's amazing that you've compiled so many videos, George.
Well, I did it for the Benions and the Wilsons and the Taylors, and so there's a lot.
It's very impressive.
The different families have different folders, so you guys can look inside whichever folder you want. But of course, the Wilson there. So.
Great.
If you look up the kids' book on Amazon, there's a comment from a Mrs. B. I don't know if it's one of ours, who says it's her own 10th great-grandmother or great-grandfather.
Oh, right. That's fun.
Interestingly, the P.J. Lynch, who's the author and artist, is Irish.
Yeah.
Huh. That is interesting.
I just I find something about that too. That's funny.
That region in England, what was it called? Herefordshire. I never know how to pronounce that.
It's the Shire.
That's why we have hairy toes in our family.
That's hysterical. I thought it was just me.
We're all part Hop.
A lot of my ancestors are from different shires as well. Lincolnshire.
Well, I have to sneak off. I can transfer hosting to somebody else if folks want to stay on, but I'm working on scheduling something for the next couple of weeks, another song session, and then working on some games that people can play together over Zoom too. So if people have bananagrams, that's one that works well over Zoom. We can set up Boggle to do over Zoom. I have a few other ideas.
Thank you. That sounds great. I love you.
Love you.
Thanks,
Bye,
Amy.
guys.
Good to see everybody.
Bye, everybody.
You, Dave.
Bye, you guys.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, great job, Dave.
That was a great job.
Thanks, Dave.
He left.